Okay, so let's kind of take a turn. We've kind of looked at how things are not going so great in churches, but let's kind of turn the corner here. How would you encourage churches to get it right when it comes to pornography and the effects it's having on their community?
Well, I think it comes back to that grassroots understanding of it. And that was the main purpose the first portion of the book, is to provide that primer so that ministry leaders understand how people are getting stuck, why they often stay stuck without help, and how we can bring real restoration. But also, you don't have to start in this huge first step. I feel for this pastor that stood up one Sunday morning and he said, hey, we've got this new study we're wanting to do on pornography. All the guys who would like to sign up for it, just hit that table in the back. There's a little sign-up sheet.
Yeah, gosh, yep.
Guess what? It was empty.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess nobody needs this.
Yeah, I guess my church doesn't struggle. Yeah.
And so how are some ways that you can begin introducing this issue within the church? One of the easiest ways to do this is to begin equipping parents and grandparents on the impact of pornography. Because when you do that and you help, they'll come to that. Like they want some expertise on some technology, but you can give them the grassroots of, did you know that early exposure and how early exposure is in creating the building blocks for behaviors that can last a lifetime? And the men that are in that session, the women that are in that session who are struggling, now they can have understanding of why I got here. How did I get here? Why do I stay stuck? And with that understanding, they can begin feeling acceptance. And that can be a first step in creating a safe place. Because once we begin removing the stigma from around it,
yes,
then we can begin leaning more deeply into it. There's a friend of ours, Nick, Pastor James Reeves, and he wrote a manual for his church, a workbook for his church called Life Change for Every Christian. And almost everybody who comes into his church would go through this Life Change for Every Christian. And they would get to dive into understanding themselves and the sinful behaviors in their life. And that might have been, and the self-soothing behaviors, the trauma that they endured. All these things were this sort of understanding that, hey, I do have some wounds and I can be honest about it here with other people. Look at this safe place. People are talking about how the dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme on their way home from work. They're talking about the anger that they have in their marriage. And then other things that are coming out like pornography, etc. And they can find safety in that small space that breaks out into other groups that can dive more deeply into something using, okay, I'm going to do another pitch, 7 pillars. I've got a book that's just about worn out over here. These are tools that are readily available that we can use. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And Pastor, if you're listening, you're not the first one to have to do this work. And so we have examples in whether it's the book Safe or the examples in the Healing Church of how other churches are doing this work well. What small steps could I begin to take if my church really has never addressed these kinds of topics before? How can I take those small steps to lead from where I am now? Even though I think the Healing Church does a good job of that, we're really going to break that down as a follow-up piece to the Healing Church as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we just echo here so much of what you said, that you've got to normalize the conversation. You've got to equip people with information. And I think inviting people to do something for someone else, because when you make it for them, that feels shameful or guilt-ridden. But when it's about your kids or helping our community or helping other men, it's like, oh, well, I could do that. And so all those strategies we've also seen to be very effective. And I'm just so thankful that will be echoed and really brought to some clarity in the book, because those are really great starting points.